Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Synth Geekery, episode 224. Someone please find a synth reference to that. I'm sure that'd be fun if you could. There's probably a module number or something that relates to that. Anyway, nice to have you all here. It's an early show for some of you because you've had clock changes. I mean, what is with this clock changing business?
Yeah, what is it?
The sun doesn't give a shit. It's still, making planets orbit itself at the same time. Anyway, if you are suffering from clock change, I do feel sorry for you. We don't have it here where I live. It's the same time, isn't it, Chris? It's still 9 o'clock at night here.
Nothing's changed at all. I feel exactly the same.
Yeah, I've got a new layout. I hope that might fix. I do apologise to Brooksy for last week. We kind of cut him off a little bit down the bottom. So as we bring in people in, Steve's here. Yay! Let's add him in.
Hey, Steve.
Hey,
Steve.
How's it going?
So it doesn't cut anyone off on the StreamYard link just below my hand there. So there's the StreamYard people there. So jump in. The link is pinned in the chat if you want to join us. You don't have to show your camera if you don't want. I think we had who jumped? Was it Kissing the Machine that jumped on last week, or was it someone else? I forget now. Someone jumped in last week just to say a quick few words. You don't have to show your camera. You can just use your voice, whatever. So yeah, StreamYard's there. And what else do we need to say? So new layout. We've got big ugly me there. I know there's no other way of doing it otherwise. Chatties down in the corner. I think this will work for a bit. Otherwise, we'll go back to the six up layout, which I think cuts everyone off. You don't quite get it. And as we need to zoom in, we can do that. Now, I don't think Darren will be here until 2 o'clock because that's when he gets, that's just when he gets
in the chat.
Yeah, so maybe he will. I don't know. I'm not sure. He says on the way. Okay, there you go. He says on the way. There you go. He's probably going to tell me off for not telling him. I did post it all over social media, so I don't really know what more I can do.
You did.
But yeah, anyway, let's get over that whole 1 hour business. So what we can do anyway is, because a lot of people come onto the show at 2 o'clock, that's what we kind of normally do for most of the year. We'll run all the usual regular segments around that time. Okay, so and we'll put the sonority side of the show. We'll sort of flip it over. We'll have the Saturday sonority stuff at the start, which I kind of think is the better part of the show anyway. I don't know. It's more ad lib. It's more fun. But anyway, as we're getting people in, we can say good day to Andy. See, Andy's the same time for you, isn't it? Yes, time hasn't changed for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think is it this Sunday it changed? I forgot. We're close. We're changing soon, but
yeah.
I had to double check because I wanted to make sure I got a little bit of sleep. Anyway, is he at the same time or not? I forgot if you changed along with the UK or not. So
no, I'm staying the same, which means it'll probably
you don't change. That's right. Only your East Coast changes.
Only the East Coast changes, yeah. And if you want to come in at an hour later, that's fine because we'll do the main show and stuff then anyway. So
no, I don't want to miss anything. It's too much fun. So I'd rather lose some sleep than miss some stuff. So
it's good to have you, mate. Have you had a great week?
Yeah, I've been using this guy a few times. So I've been having fun with the ROAT and some other things. I didn't get a chance to upload mine from yesterday yet, so I'm going to upload that soon. So I'll try to do a daily, noisy, wacky something or other. So we'll see how that turns out. Using the I don't know if you used it much yet, Ian, but I got the microcosm on this last one. So
yeah, I've got a story, but I'll wait for my story from the microcosm. Okay. Yes, I have been using it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Some happy accidents and some I thought it was more. Oh wait, there it is. There's sometimes a delay on some stuff.
I've had
flying in.
Yeah.
Other than that, just the usual stuff.
Are you seeing some similarities with the Cosm with some of the Eurorack modules though, the algorithms? Because I've heard a few people comment on that as well, where some of the granular stuff seems to sort of sound familiar.
The technology is not that unique. It's just the way they've invoked things with like timing circuits and stuff. So, like I was saying, sometimes you think it's going to go a little bit faster, and then something suddenly pops out of nowhere. Like one of the hardware jams things I did with the little this little guy, the plucky thing. Where did I put it? I forgot where I put it. Little tiny kalimba, and it was surprising things. I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting to do that. That's kind of nice. It's adding like harmonics and doing some stuff I didn't really think about. So it was helping me out a lot, actually. It was kind of nice. So yeah, so more of that, more to come. This Noise member, so every day people are uploading stuff, so I'm trying to keep up with that for the first time. And
awesome.
Wacky, I went a little crazy on my Osmos, so I made it way too long. The rest of them are going to be short, like 5 minutes or less. And the only other thing I want to mention is that I did actually procure something that's weird and special and kind of rare, and also kind of a controller thingy. But I want to say more until it's actually shipped, because I don't want to jinx myself. But I think I bought it, so we'll see what happens.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right. We're hitting this next button. Who's next? Ian, how are you, mate?
Hey, hello, everybody. Yeah, it's been good, actually. Quite busy. So, Audiophile Radio Show went out on Tuesday. Your album is Album of the Month.
Yay.
Which is brilliant. Played at Hull EMOM on Wednesday with pretty much I've just smashed everything. Pretty much this set here. I did
usually my job.
This went down really well, actually.
Hey.
Put this through a reverb.
Circuit bending, love it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It wasn't a disaster, but because I was using the microcosm and I had it plugged into the Microfreak, and I obviously did something halfway through, and it was working, but I wasn't getting what I was expecting to get out of it. So it didn't quite work as I planned, But we're calling that user error, because when I got home and plugged it all back in again, it worked perfectly. Of course it did. Usual sort of stuff.
You get that when you
so
sort of forget to plug things in and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was, but to be fair, it's doing it with sort of no safety net, and I quite like that about it, really. And if it all goes wrong, it all goes wrong. But actually, one guy did say, came away and said that was fantastic, particularly the Thomas the Tank Engine thing. He says it sounded to me like Radiohead. I'm thinking, well, that's not bad. I'll take that.
Yeah, take that.
Yeah. What else? Put an album out yesterday. The Fraser Syndrome is finally out on Bandcamp. Thank you for those that have already bought it. That's brilliant. Love you.
Congrats, man.
What else has been going on? I've been buying stuff, but nothing spectacular. I bought this, which is the BBC Radiophonic Workshop CD set, six albums. Two of them are brilliant. The other ones are they are what they are, really. Sort of little idents from TV shows and stuff like that. But two of the albums on it are absolutely great. Actually, the other thing I got was finally bought Wendy Carlos's complete original score, which is not the soundtrack album. It's got longer pieces, and it's quite hard to get now. Anyway, I managed to find a copy of that. And the other thing, the boring stuff, it's our end of year, so I've been doing lots of crap paperwork. But that's my week, really.
Yay!
Awesome. Yay!
What's next? Chris, hopefully, is this button. Hey, how are you, Chris?
Hey, I'm bad, mate. How is everyone? I hope everyone's well. Yes, guess what? It's been another week of me doing stuff with circuits and PCBs, and I finally got my PCBs out to manufacturing yesterday. Yes. So that took way longer than I hoped it had. It was about twice as long as it took to get, but finally got it out of the way now. Now I can concentrate on some other things, which is good. Still making these little fellas, of course. Still making these little fellas. Another two almost ready to be married and put on the test bench again. I did a bit of 3D printing work this week. My little Euro case over there, which has I may have mentioned it, it looks like a 1U slot, but it's not quite the proper dimension, which was something I regretted, because then I went and bought some 1U stuff, That was clever. So what I've done here is I've modified my case because, of course,
that
that's what I do. I modify things. Yeah. IntelliGel 1U is what I've modified my case to fit now, although this is kind of my own invention or version of it, which uses less rails because I don't have any, and takes up less space. So it's kind of, it's the 3D printed parts, which are kind of weird little. We've got a slot down here for a regular eurorack module, 3U module, and then there along here is the 1U modules. You actually have a mixture of both, and there's a little slidey thing on the bottom that fits into the top of the rack over there, and I can actually show you. This thing actually slides back and forth, so I can have different configurations. Yeah, so that's the idea. Is it's something I'm experimenting with, because necessity is the mother of invention, or whatever, however the phrase goes. Yep. So what else have I done this week? Nothing particularly exciting.
Fair enough. We can talk about sort of funky Eurorack cases a little bit later, because I spied something on the Milo Melodies video that came out during the week. That was kind of, I haven't seen that before, so we'll go and we'll check that out in a sec. And we're going to go across to StreamYard, where Mr. Steve's there. How are you, mate? You're muted, by the way.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hi, guys. All right. Hi, Ranz.
How are you? Nice to see you, mate.
Yeah. Quite a busy week at work. So, and managed to pick up myself a copy of Omnisphere.
Ooh, a box copy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, so that
What's
I've been having a I've been having a mess about with that, and doing some DAW tutorials, because my knowledge of my DAW was severely lacking. So I've done a few tutorials on that. I've been putting a few sort of chord progressions down, and inspired by Darren and stuff at the EMOM. So that was quite good. So it's kind of influenced me to get into the music room and get stuff done. Yeah.
Hello.
So quite busy.
Oh, that's an interesting message that we're getting. Sorry, I got distracted then when I was opening up a YouTube thing. It's got this new pop-up now that says ad blockers are not allowed on YouTube. Have you guys seen that new?
Ooh.
Have a look at this.
That's
Let me just fix it for Steve so he can see it as well. There we go.
I think I'm going to get one of those soon then.
Yeah. So why don't you like ad blockers, YouTube? Hey, what's wrong with ad blockers?
Wonder
you can't make as much money.
That's what it's about.
Poor little
it's all about
babies.
the money.
Whilst we're on this, let's just have a quick look at this. I'm not going to play the video because we've got a copyright claim, but have a look at that case. I don't know if you guys are picking up on it. Can you see how it's
goes
going
around the outside?
It's going around the edge. Modules down the edge, guys.
Wow, it's a bit like the phones that have screens that bend around the edge.
Alex is living his life on the edge. That's what's happening. Living his life on the edge. Yes. Anyway, I thought that was interesting, and we may talk about that module if we get time. I'm not sure if we will or not, but because I can't really play anything. It's annoying,
Darren,
because that company has only given him the access to that module, and I can't.
Good
really
day,
Darren. You're next.
Hey, Darren.
Oh,
how'd your week been, mate?
Oh, there. Well, quite busy, I would say. I got in a bit late for work. That's why I'm a bit late. And also, I was just messing about with some stuff as well, and then I realised what time it was, and I thought, oh God.
Daylight savings now for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So end of daylight savings.
Confusing. Anyway. So I've been working on my live rig, on my second live rig. I've been writing stuff with Steve he's on it. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen him, Steve.
Yeah, he just
and
mentioned.
that's what I was doing. Yeah, I was just doing a bit of more work on some stuff that we're writing, which is got me carried away actually. And I looked at the clock and went, "Oh, I think I better get off this." So that's basically what I've been doing.
So what's changing in your rig? Are you basically? I've learnt some lessons from my previous rig and updating. Is that where we're going, or you've got a second rig you're building? I didn't quite follow you.
A bit of everything that you've just said there. Yeah, I won't say there was anything wrong with the rig that I took. If you remember when I first said that I was going to go live, and I said I started out with like something like an orbital set, and then I had to whittle it down to what was on that I played. Well, now I've played and I've realised how I can play on everything. I can now build my setup back to where the orbital set is, but maybe not as big. So
You're expanding.
Yeah, so I'm expanding, because what I played was obviously I didn't want to do anything. There's a lot more planned in that setup I've got. There's a lot more scope in it. But obviously, with it being my first one, I didn't want to, jump straight out of the comfort zone. So I kept it. Well, I say simple. It wasn't that simple, but now I can expand, alter the rig, make it a little easier to carry, because that weighed a ton, that thing that I carried, and just slowly add bits more. And because the set that I've got is like an hour and a half long, where I can just jump in it anywhere I want. So really stuff in there that I want to evolve a bit more. And some of the stuff that I'm working on with Steve, actually, I've just started noticing that it'll be live playable, some of the bits that I'm doing. So some of the melodies that I've got out of his stuff that he sent over. Yeah, so quite a lot happening. And also, I've also got the purple one out with his second album, which should have come out this year, but it's obviously going to be next year the way it's going.
Okay, well that's good. That's good. Well, keep us posted with the rig, development, because we like.
Oh yeah,
following...
there'll be little updates on different on here, maybe little bits on Facebook occasionally.
Are you going to call it the Wembley Stadium configuration?
No, this is going to be just. This is to be just under that.
The Keith Emerson rig.
Yeah.
And then it'll be the O2. Well, it's not. Is it still the O2? I don't know, but yeah.
Well, we've got through all of you guys, which is awesome to have, and also we can't forget the chatties. Hooray! Aren't they amazing? So I'm gonna find where my mouse has gone. Hello. Oh,
let's play
Windows.
Let's
mice.
play Find the Mouse.
Yeah, Windows mice. Participants. Let's do it this way. Mr. Steve Cresshead's up the top of the list there. Big hello to you, mate. David, nice to have you, buddy. One of our channel members and an awesome guy all around. Grace Griffin's there. Nice to have you, Grace. Also, Henrik's there, JX3D, our illustrious moderator and also channel member in there as well. Nice to have you. Kissing the Machines there. Max there, Macrodozed. Matt Brown, Homegrown, Paul Torbett, QRDNK. Awesome to have all of you guys. Synchrotron and Wagoo so far. And I bet you there's heaps more. And YouTube just have failed to share that information with me. Bang. There we go. Back to here. That layout seems to be working, doesn't it? If I go to Darren, it should zoom into him. Yeah. And then back out. Zooms back. Yeah, I like that. That seems to work. That looks pretty fancy.
The funny thing about Ian's Thomas the Tank thing, it reminded me at Maker Faire, there was a kid riding some Thomas the Tank retrofit bike thing where they took the toy and put it on front of a bike. And I have a video of him just crashing into a bunch of garbage cans. It's just totally random thing. He actually broke the guy's vehicle. A wheel fell off and stuff.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to run our usual segments at the turn of the hour. So you're about 39 minutes away from that. So stick around for that, because you'll have news and funny side and all that sort of stuff then. But what we're going to do is we're going to flip the show about, and we're going to put the cool part of the show, which is our Saturday Sonority stuff. We're going to put that on now. And what we'll do first, and without sort of prompting him or prodding him in the side of the ribs there. Ian is going to talk about something new. And are you ready, Ian? You ready to go?
Go for it. Yeah,
I can put something up on the screen if you want.
Okay.
Bandcamp.
So, thank you very much, sir.
Yep.
So, yes, my album, which has been I properly started it in 2020, but one of the tracks originally started in 2016. So I tend to do concept albums. So this is I have a photograph on my wall, which is actually the cover of the album, and it's taken from when I bought it, I just liked this picture of. There's an artist, and he's an Australian artist, and I've got his name somewhere. Just give me a second. He's called Guido somebody or other. Anyway, what he does, he basically paints on the sides of buildings around the world, and this is actually in Reykjavik, and it's an art centre in Reykjavik. And I just loved the picture, and I thought, well, actually, at some point, I'm going to do an album based around that picture, not knowing what the picture was of. But anyway. It's from a drawing. It's from a Jean-Paul Sartre play called No Exit, and these two actresses were the Iceland version. And this artist had gone into the local museum and found these photographs, and then created this art. And I absolutely loved it. So there's me going down this rabbit hole of the album is going to be based around No Exit. Now, if you don't know the story of No Exit, it's basically it's from 1944. Jean-Paul Sartre, his idea is that hell is other people. So forever, these three people, two women and a man, are going to spend eternity together in hell. But hell isn't what we think it is. It's basically a room where they have to interact with each other forever. They can't sleep. It's there's no windows. It's permanent light. They can't close their eyes, and that's where the title comes from, because the Fraser syndrome is a genetic disorder where you literally can't close your eyelids. Your eyelids fuse. So it's a bit bleak in places, but anyway, you get the idea. The tracks developed over me basically improvising, and in the back of my mind was always the thought that I actually quite like to do something that's a bit close to the Radiophonic Workshop. It's interesting that CDs box set turned up this week. So I mean I used on one of the tracks. There's a track 2 is called A Beauty Diamond Lipstick and No Mirror, which is probably the longest title I've ever used. A Beauty Diamond Lipstick is actually the world's most expensive lipstick. And as part of the play, because there's no mirrors in this room, these two women have to apply lipstick to each other, And a Beauty Diamond lipstick costs $1.4 million for a lipstick. Talk about sort of consumerism. So that was I went down that sort of rabbit hole. I've gone down sort of all sorts of rabbit holes with this over the last 18 months. So and that track has actually got some original Daphne Aurum or Ramix samples, which I got back in 2016. Then what they did, I actually contacted the Daphne Aurum. If you don't know, everybody know who Daphne Aurum is? He was the original manager of the Radiophonic Workshop way before Delia Derbyshire. And she did lots of other things. She left and then she went and set up her own sort of sound development company. So I asked if I could use these samples, and they said, yeah, you can use the samples, just give us a donation. So I gave them a donation, and happy days, really, So, but the whole thing was based around improvisation, and I would keep coming back to certain tracks and living with them. The Thelema track, which is I think track 3, was meant to come out. I did some work with some other musicians, and we're going out as the Wave Prophets. Now this has been going on for probably since 2015. We first did some recordings together. And I played. This was meant to come out on the Wave Prophets album, which actually won't come out probably till next year because we can't get together, and we may even have to do it remotely once I get down south. But I played a live instrument trumpet over it, just one take, and the guys have allowed me to put that on this album. So that's why that particular track is Ian J. Cole and the Wave Prophets, you know. But there's all sorts of, a lot of it is based around things that I would do in preparation for EMOMs and for gigs, and then basically chop it all up and live with it for a bit and come back to it all the time, you know. But there we are. That's it. If there's any questions, give us a shout, really. You know, and Dan, like I said earlier,
have you been to,
thanks for those.
Have you been to
Sorry,
Reykjavik?
No.
Have you been to Reykjavik, Ian?
No.
Oh,
I'd love to go.
Nice place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's quite expensive, I believe, isn't it, Iceland? But you know, I'd love to go.
It is. It was one of the most expensive places when I first went in 2005, and then it came down in price. So it was sort of, it was expensive, but it was just like going to London type of thing. And now it's back up again. I think. I think I've been about 5 or 6 times. But yeah, you'll like it, Ian. It's our favourite place.
No, I want to go. If only just to see these buildings. Sadly, I do know that particular building, the art centre, because there's a triptych. It's on 3 sides. I've obviously only got the photograph of that one side of the building. It has been graffitied, which is such a shame. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, I guess that's the world we're living in to some extent, really. You know.
Do you want me to play something?
Yeah.
Okay, to play something.
Yeah.
What would you like me to play?
Do you want to play that second track, the Night Never Comes? It's one of the shorter tracks, but that's the one with the Harmonix sample.
Night Never Comes. Yep.
No, sorry, not Night Never Comes. A Beauty Diamond Lipstick.
A Beauty Diamond Lipstick. No problems. All right, I'm going to mute us all. We'll go over to here. Really, really, really good, mate. Excellent work.
Thank you.
Yeah. One
It's
of those
weird and it's wonderful.
things is when you're doing music like that, it's a challenge because let me just stop that for a second.
Yeah.
It's a challenge because the noises that you're bringing in and out throughout, whether they've got distortion in them or whether they're very dynamic in their own nature. It's hard to sort of tame all that in your mix when you're actually bringing it together and to keep
The
some
mix is
sort
a
of
nightmare.
So
Absolutely, yeah.
It
was harder to mix than it was to master, actually. To be fair, because but and I kept coming back to certain things and things didn't always work. There's one of the other tracks that I really, really struggled with it. I think it was the abandoned basement. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was the Three Damn Souls, because it gets very, very. That's got some. It's based around the actual play from the 1960s. This No Exit, and there's actually some. I got some people into actually. I couldn't afford to buy the sampled version of the actual recording, so I recreated. But it sort of gets really distorted towards the end, and the vocals are on purposely distorted. But mixing it and taming the whole thing was, like you say, all the way through. To be able to, I kept coming back to it, so that's probably why it's taken so long. And I come back to certain tracks. I would come back to maybe 2 months later and then try and listen to them with fresh ears. Ideally, the thing is to sort of do a first mix and then give it to somebody else to mix, but there's so many bits and pieces to all of it that I wouldn't dare do that to anybody, really, because it does become a bit of a labour of love when you're trying to create something that's like this, really, and I know it won't appeal to everybody because it's not conventional music in that sense, there's lots of sort of sound design and all the rest of it.
But it's still really hard to ignore it. Like it's very much that kind of sonic stuff where you put and go, this isn't necessarily my bag, but you don't stop it when it's playing. So that's a testament to, I think. It is that thing that doesn't sort of. I think we talked about it last week with Rance's album. It's the not outstaying one's welcome thing. There's something always going on. There's something always going on. If it's not sonic exploration, there's some kind of the improvisations really create a kind of a journey which is quite engaging. But it's very much it's very much the kind of thing I kind of put on in the background, and sometimes some things in the background distract you, and sometimes they kind of help you think. So this is one of those.
Those ones because it's such a dark subject, I didn't want the whole thing. That's why the sequencing of the album was very difficult, and the couple of bonus tracks were actually in the album originally, but they didn't really fit with everything else that's going on. And it's not an ambient album, but there are bits of it that are certainly ambient. And the first track. Frightened of Cliches was originally, it's about 15 minutes, but it was I used a sonata format, so it's exposition, development, and recapitulation, if I can even say it. But it was designed to be played live at an EMOM, and it was played live. And I don't even know if I actually used the EMOM recording, but I recorded loads of different versions of it, and then chopped them all together to make the final version, really, and it uses basically three different instruments, but they're all played on the instrument. But the last one is singing bowls, which I just loved. I loved the idea of using singing bowls as the main instrument. The
harmonic content. Oh, that's awesome.
Do you have a real bowl, Ian? Do you ever use a real one?
I don't have a real bowl, but actually the cool. ones on here, it's sat up there, but and it's only a small one, whereas these actually sound bigger, and I can't afford, because the big ones are quite expensive. The interesting thing about using it in MPE and using a sampled singing bowl was I could get sounds on the instrument that I couldn't get using the singing bowl. There's a sort of clicking that I could get, which obviously I can't get any other way. And I sort of quite like, it's slightly percussive, but I quite liked being able to do that, you know. And again,
one
it's
about
always
this
that.
big, and it's a lot of fun to use because you can. Most people just do the vibration thing to build up the energy and make it real loud. But it's really fun for scraping, tapping, you know, all kinds of other kinds of stuff.
And actually putting water in it, because it was Kent Spong who told me to put some water in it, and then start to mess around with it. You know? There's one track which is just a kalimba, apart from a bit of piano, and that is the abandoned basement is all kalimba. So it's pulse stretched, it's granulated. I'm using a box. Yeah, so there's all of that sort of stuff, and the track sort of was okay, but didn't really come together until I put the piano bits over the top of it. Now the piano bits were done for a completely different project. A mate of mine who's put an album out with a sort of cassette label, and he said, "Oh, send me some of your stuff." So I did, and I actually did it. I just played piano using the Kronos, recorded all these sort of short snippets. Probably, I don't know, maybe 10 bars of music at a time, something like that. Sent it all to Ryan, and he went, and in the end he didn't use any of it, which is fine because he used a load of other stuff. But I thought, well, I'll have them back, and they just sort of fitted perfectly, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. Ask Ian some questions if you like about his album. I've posted the link a little while back in the chat. I can post it again. No, I can't do that one because that's not the right link. Where'd the link go?
You have to see what Kent said. Kent's got 5 singing bowls, and Fiona's growing watercress out of one of them. That's brilliant.
Well, it was ages ago when I posted that link. Okay, here we go.
At least the dog's not drinking out of one of them.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll just post it again because it was a while ago when I posted it. There we go. There we go. All right. So I think so Bandcamp, you can get that on Bandcamp. There's options for you guys.
There's a discount code at the moment for the next week. Not only on my album, on Ranzee's album, on Andy and Grace's, all the stuff on Sinners Music, and it's Sin Camp Friday. There's a discount code.
SIN.
Keep it as all one word. Yeah.
CAMP.
Sin Camp Friday. Yeah.
Friday.
And it's 15% off anything.
15% off. Like that? Sin Camp Friday?
Yeah, but although it's just lowercase, I think. But that's it.
Cool.
And we started doing that yesterday, but it'll be on for the whole week, until next weekend, I guess.
So just lowercase, is that?
I can always extend it. Yeah, I can always extend it if people really want it.
All right, cool. 15% off.
Thank you, Syntonic. He's already bought it. It's brilliant. Thank you.
Good on you, Andy. Awesome. Okay. We've got about 20 minutes to go before we start the main sort of stuff on the show. I thought we'd talk about sort of putting albums together in because I guess there's a few of us now in that sort of. I mean, you've done a few. I've done a few. Brooksy's not here. He was here last week. His recent albums on there, on your discography. So I kind of where I was going to go with it was maybe it's best if I asked you because yours is the most recent.
Okay.
Tell me how you feel now that you've got it out. Like, it's kind of a weird question, but just think about the emotional side of yourself. Like, it's a job that I guess you can say that it's finished, right? I mean, it's probably a few little bits and pieces that you've got left to do. But it's a job you can say it's
there's
finished.
A couple of videos I've got to put out.
Yeah,
it's finished. I mean, and I'm already starting to move on to the next thing. And when I played the EMOM on Wednesday, I mean, I suppose, you know, large record companies would have me tour it now. Well, to be fair, I've been playing tracks from it for the last year at EMOMs and at gigs. So I think I've already done that, and I don't really. I mean, I might do the odd bits, and every time I play it live, it's different. It's never going to be the same twice. So you know, that there's an element of that really. But I mean, that's why I brought out the Thomas the Tank Engine thing and using the microcosm. Is I'm looking to do the next thing, which will probably start to be the next album. I haven't got a concept for the next album at the moment, you know. And I always have an idea. So there's always something, you know. Like one of them in the past, I think it was Cities, and somebody emailed me and said that they like the Cities album. The Cities album was all done, believe it or not, in Towns and Cities on an iPad. That's the only instrument I used, really, and then took it all back and then, you know, tweaked it and did stuff like that. But fundamentally, everything that was recorded sat in a waiting room or an office or something like that. So I always like to have something like that.
Yeah.
That you know. But yeah, no, the Fraser syndrome is done, pretty much. I would tend to, and I've listened to it an awful lot, as you can imagine, when you do it. And actually, what surprised me this time, because normally what happens is I get to this point and I don't want to listen to it again.
Yeah.
But because we've been running up and down the country a lot, and I the sequences, because there are other versions of the sequences which I may release at some point, just give them free on Bandcamp at some point in the future, where some of those tracks are in those sequences. I had it in the car, and Jane and I were listening to it, and you know, now Jane, by her own admission, you know, doesn't really know that much about music, but actually, for somebody with not that into music, she's got a really good, you know, she'll say, "Oh, I don't like that particular track." She won't explain why, or that bit doesn't quite fit in there. And sometimes I will completely ignore her, and other times I'll go, "Actually, she's really right," you know. But she's a sounding board for stuff like this, really. You know,
it's good that
she's incredibly supportive. I mean, she's incredibly supportive. I mean, you know, this poor woman who is not into electronic music at all just come and sit there and watch me play, and you know,
that's lovely.
Yeah.
I just go back to what you first said when I asked the question, and it's kind of funny because it was kind of one of the things I first said was that I've moved on to the next album. So that's that's your emotional state. You've moved on. And it's a big thing because it's kind of like you're released in a way. You're released from that burden. It's not a bad burden, negative or anything. It's a positive burden, but you're released from that, and now you've moved on to your next project. And a lot of us musicians, we have lots of little projects going at once, right? We're a little bit like the mad scientist in a way. We probably should calm down a bit and get our stuff in order. But we have all these things going on at once. Like I was just talking to my kids today about what's happening with me in the future, and I just realized and you guys know this, there's no new content in what I'm saying, is that I'm already working on my new ambient album. We're going to be doing that Utopia collaboration, which I've got a new track that's coming out on that, and it's going to be a mega mix of the whole lot, and you guys are going to be doing some versions of it yourself, remixed. So that will be an album. By the time all that gets sequenced together, that will be an album. And then I was thinking about it, and I'm thinking, that's a lot going on. Do you know what I mean? And then there's probably stuff that I haven't told you about. But so, when you said that, I'm moving on to the next, and then at the same time you were sort of saying that I've been working on this since probably 2016, all the way back. So it's would you say that it's probably a really big relief now that you've got it out, it's finished, and now you can move on to the next?
I mean, yeah, it is actually, because I mean there's lots of recordings as well of me playing these tracks live, And I suppose sometime in the future, I mean, I'm not thinking next year or maybe even the year after that, I may put those live recordings out as live, as a live album at some point. I mean, I did do a live album which was all based around EMOMs before the pandemic. So, and I won't listen to, all of those recordings. None of them mixed. They're just stems that we're recording. They're put in folders, and they will stay there until I decide to actually do something with it. But it won't be anytime soon that there'll be a Fraser Syndrome live album. And like I say, every time I've played it, it's different. In fact, there's obviously two versions. On the album there is Helly's Other People, and then there's the live album, live version, not a live album, live Helly's. It's called something else. I'd have to bring it up actually. There's the last track is not before the bonuses.
Helly's Dead People.
Helly's Dead People. So that is basically the same track as Helly's Other People, but one is being treated quite a bit, and the Helly's Dead People is fundamentally just the live, and it was just done on the organelle with this piano patch, which I absolutely love, and I must stop using. I keep using it, but all I did was just tweak it a bit and add a little bit more reverb on it and put it at the end of the album, because after the Three Damn Souls, which is pretty heavy, the end of that, there needed to be something else that was a little bit lighter and just a sort of slightly wonky, piano sample piece, which felt the way to go, really. And I tried other things as well. I mean, the bonus track, The Hidden Intention, was at the beginning, it was at the end. The Inconsistent Bell was all over the place, that was in the middle, and but in the end they didn't really fit with the feeling of those up until Helly's Dead People. That all felt like it was a complete piece, really.
And it's the other thing too is interesting when you're trying to do sort of like a, I don't know, kind of a little bit alternative sort of ideas, not alternative music, alternative ideas inside your music, where you're trying to break a few rules or break a few norms, maybe not rules but norms, because music you can break any rule you like, and sort of we talked about this with with my album. There's a really obvious one that I did in one of my tracks where I literally just took you guys completely away from the main part of the track, off on a tiny little journey, and I found it extremely difficult to write the music to get you back in. And these kind of little alternative things that you're wanting to do as a musician can be massive train wrecks in your project development, right? And you're talking about the bell sound that's kind of all over the place, and it's kind of like And then the last track, right? The last track's an interesting one. Like we should have a show talking about the last track, because you could literally fill up a whole show of content just talking about why we have chosen that track as the last track. Yeah. It's important, isn't it? The last track is important.
Yeah. Do you ever find that the last track is also something that you want? I mean, it's interesting because for most of the sequences, Helly's Dead People was not in the album at all.
Yeah.
But obviously I had recorded it, I'd mixed it, I actually had mastered it at that point. So what I did was it was in the last trip down to Frome, when we were looking at houses, and I played it. I played it on the morning because we left it we got up at 5, we left at 6. It was still dark, and I said to Jen, "I'm going to put the album on. It's dark, So we listened to it on, at 6 o'clock in the morning on the way down to Frome, and I just stuck that in at the end because something else needed to be there. And I said, "What do you think about that thing at the end?" She went, "Oh, that really works. It sounds, it just sort of finishes it off." And we listened to it. We didn't listen to it all the way down. It was like 4.5 hours on the driving down and 4.5 hours back. But we did listen to it once more on the way back to sort of just confirm that track was in the right place.
It kind of feels like an end titles too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? A Hidden Intention was actually still at track 2 at that point. And I said to Jim, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that as a bonus track. And she said, yeah, that would probably be better. It doesn't. She felt it didn't quite fit in, and I was also thinking that way as well at that point. But yeah, I mean, in the past, I've done albums, and then the last track is not always the track you always think it's going to be either. You know, sometimes it is something else you've done elsewhere. You think, well, actually, if I rework that up and put that as the last track, that might just do it. No.
I wonder how many musicians think, I'll just whack that last track on. No one's going to listen to it. It's right at the back
exactly. No.
And then everyone goes, I love that last track. It's awesome. You know. David's turned up
Hi, Dave.
on StreamYard.
Hey, everybody. Yeah,
Hey, Dave.
I just wanted to celebrate Ian's new release, man. It's awesome.
Thanks, Dave. Cheers, mate.
Yeah. You definitely, I feel there's your exposure to theater and some of those elements that you do, it definitely, you know, seems to inform the music side that you do. So I think it's super cool. You know, maybe I'm off there, but yeah.
No, but I see that's a really interesting. I hadn't thought of that, but I think you're right.
Oh, that's definitely there. He's spot on. I think that's spot. I just
got that.
Subconsciously, I hadn't thought of that, but you're right. It's you know, and
it's definitely theatrical in the vibe.
Yeah.
I think there was a few chatty
and
comments.
Film a little bit filmic too.
Yeah, film noir. I think someone said in the chat.
Film. Yeah. Yep.
But that's okay. I mean, I think quite a few of us have probably had that soundtrack name thrown at us with some of our music, right? And I think electronic music does get sometimes conflated with, is it soundtracky or is it actually you know, and it's usually probably a little bit of the person listening to it may not quite be a full electronic music fan, you know, they're maybe experimenting with it. So I mean, I definitely think it was like full on electronic. That's the way I saw it. But it did definitely have a film noir, you know, essence to it.
It's funny because my inspiration for everything I do musically is Talk, the later Talk albums. But I don't want to make music like Talk. If that makes sense. There's people out there doing that, and they're trying to recreate what Talk did in those last 3 or 4 albums. You know, the things that Spirit of Eden onwards, really. You know, and I am a massive Talk fan, and I always have been. You know, and they opened that sort of Pandora's box for me of it's okay to do things that are weird and wonderful. You know, so I don't use albums that are, you know, to try and make my stuff sound like somebody else's album. I never do that. But in the back of my mind, and I do listen to those albums fairly regularly, you know, at least one of them, I always think that is my inspiration for doing the music that I make, you know. It wouldn't be if I'm doing pop songs. I mean, at some point in the future, I will want to do an album of pop songs with a girl singer. I've done that before, and I want to do that again. And that won't be that inspiration. That's just pop music, you know. But certainly for this sort of stuff, you know, Talk is where it all started for me, really.
Ian, there's a question from QRDNK in the chat. He says, so preferring concept albums, how do you manage your projects regarding different moods you're in making music? You just hold those back that don't fit until it comes into the next album. Do you just hold those back? Sorry.
I have things that I mean, yeah, to be fair, I don't. Most of the pieces that were written were looking at that photograph, that picture. So based around that, you know, and when they weren't, like the beauty lipstick one, that started as something else. But when I came back to it, in my mind is this photograph. Now there are some tracks that didn't make it. There's I think 2 or 3. They won't be on the next album, but I never throw anything away. I stick things in folders on hard drives, and I will come back to them at some point in the future, and they may appear elsewhere, or they may not. You know, if they don't fit anywhere, they'll just And that's when I tend to start putting things on SoundCloud, things that I don't want to be released, but for people to listen to. So yes, there are things that didn't make it. They won't be on the next album. And unlike you, Ranz, I quite like your idea of having a track that's going to be on the next album, but that doesn't work for me, or it hasn't worked up until now. So those things will probably appear at some time, or they will get mashed up into something else. The one that didn't really work, and the Inconsistent Bell. If you heard the original, which was actually a live recording of a percussion piece that I did at an EMOM, and for a while it was in the album, but then it just didn't work at all. And the original, it sounds completely different to how it is now, because it was really messed up big time. You wouldn't have guessed that the Inconsistent Bell is actually a load of organelle sampled drum parts, because that's what they are, which are randomly. When you play it plays. You don't quite know what's going to happen next, so it literally is completely random in terms of what you get to hear and what gets played, and I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, right.
And I quite like. It was quite a nice thing to do. I mean, I only played it once. I'll be honest, it didn't go down that well. It was not one of the better experiments, I would say. But I did want to see if I could do something with it that actually I could make it into something else. And it is completely different to how the original was sounded. So I will try and do that. And if it still doesn't work, then it will get shelved, and it will come back. I will come back to it at some point in the future. And it may be that last track thing again. Like I come, 2 albums or 3 albums down the road, I'm trying to finish it off, and I'll go back and think, well, actually, that thing I did for, the Fraser syndrome, maybe I should try putting that in, but, break it down again, basically, chop it all up. So,
make an album of last tracks, a whole album of last tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
And every single track you listen to, you think, oh wait, I want some more. Oh, there's more. It's like encore. All right. There's a drum bit at the beginning of, I think it's at the beginning of the Thelema track. Yeah. Now I've used that more than once. I think I've used it 3 times, and I've got to stop using it. And that was done on the. It was done on the OP1. It's like me with the phaser pedal.
Yeah, so I have used it before.
I'm not going to stop using the phaser pedal. Stop it. We need to say happy birthday to Lady Aptitude.
Happy birthday!
I've just been spying on the chat. Everyone's been saying happy birthday to her. So yeah, awesome. Massive happy birthday to you. It's lovely having a birthday. We all get one of them a year. Well, supposedly. Right, where are we at to? Oh, look, we've arrived at the next hour, and it's time to do the cool stuff. Starting with this.
Yeah. So thanks for that. Thank you for that. Thanks for all the comments.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yes, Robbie Puricelli sent this one in.
I like big butts, brother.
Just let that one sink in for a little bit. Well, I mean, maybe the floor might sink in a little bit on the right, but yeah. Anyway, when I become a dad,
low end. Oh yes. Oh, that one really appeals to me.
What, you are actually the baby, Chris? Is that how
I don't know. He looks really interesting, doesn't he?
Yeah. Looks like me after I've done some mixing. Next. Oh, we did that one last week. Why is that showing up? Did I not?
Oh dear.
I thought I cleared the.
There's the sound of the dustpan being.
Oh, it's all right. We'll just. Yeah. We did one last week. How about this one? I'll just move the other one out.
Ah, that's great.
There's actually no caption or anything on this. I just thought maybe
it's great though. Yeah.
Maybe someone's done it in AI. I'm not sure where it's come from. So I grabbed
it's totally
it.
AI. Yeah. That's
yeah,
AI
it definitely
for
is
sure.
a mid journey or something. Yeah,
Yeah, and I just thought it looked
And
fantastic.
It's lovely.
It's great.
Yeah. It's great.
So it's kind of
That
not
would be
even
a
a meme.
great wall poster.
Not even a meme, but where do we put it in the show is the question. If we don't put it here, you could probably do a caption for this, like these are not the tracks you were looking for. I don't know.
You don't need to use the Force. You don't need to use the Akai Force to sound good.
So like some DJs, Yoda doesn't plug in his gear; he just moves knobs. Yeah.
Maybe he's saying, you know, when you want to become a DJ, there is no. What is it? There is no
try. There
is no try. There is just do. Yeah. There is no try. There is just do.
Yeah. It's not try. Only do.
Yeah. There we go. Fantastic. Right. So we have some news, and I kind of really just whacked this news together this week purely because I don't think there was a lot of stuff. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there wasn't a hell of a lot of stuff that came out this week. So we kind of
hadn't missed anything.
We can breeze through this, or we can dwell on it. It's up to you guys how you want to play with it. We got fun stuff to do anyway. But let's have a look. What do we got first? Oh, you know what I've forgotten to do? Before we talk about this, let me just go back. I'll get told off if I don't do this. What was your favourite meme? Sorry. Before someone tells me off.
Wait for that.
Oh, dear.
What was your favourite meme?
It's tradition.
Baby side chain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby side training.
Side chain. Yeah.
Tell us in the chat, please, before I get killed. If you change anything on your show,
you can't break them.
Do you see what happens? If you start something, you've got to then you got to keep doing it. All right, let's go back to here. Yeah, they're saying 808 sidechain, 808 sidechain, 808 sidechain. Wow. Yeah. So it's a bit. I think it's a bit of both. All right, cool. This obviously is the obvious bit of news. If you don't know, it might be a good idea for you guys to look at maybe some of your favorite software companies over this weekend, over the next few days, because you might find a deal, right? Because it's kind of this time of the year, isn't it, Andy?
So is it next Friday?
Oh yeah,
next Friday and the weekend, and then the Monday following.
Okay, cool.
So you've got.
I didn't miss it.
You haven't missed it.
And usually a week after that, sometimes.
Yeah. Warning you guys. I'm just giving you fair warning, right? Might be a time to pick up a copy of Ableton or something like that if you haven't done it before. Just as an example, because they usually are cheaper at that particular time. Right, next. There's nothing really to talk about that. This thing came up, and I thought it was kind of weird. Now, the Tinners is...
this is not rocket science.
This is not rocket science, and this is Bop and Steve. Now, there's a few different modules these guys have been bringing out, doing live streams and stuff like that. Interesting bunch of stuff that they brought out. But this is kind of like a delay effects kind of weird module. I don't have a video on it, but I can tell you a bit of information about it. And there is like they did do a live stream, and you can see some of their modules. I'll just quickly cross over to the Mac, so you can see some of their modules that they've done over here. But I think in this particular live stream, they didn't actually have that one in there. I can't spot it anyway. But yeah, they've kind of got that yellow and blue sort of theme going, haven't they?
He likes yellow.
He likes yellow.
He does.
Yeah. Chris, what do you know about this? I mean, I'm just going to be reading from.
I don't know a lot about the individual modules, but I do know a bit about this is not rocket science kind of group, because I recently just watched a video of the podcast. I think it's Synth Design podcast.
Oh yes, yep.
Yeah. So just coincidentally, they released something after I watched that, so that's quite funny. Yeah, they make this enormous monolithic synth called the Phoenix, I think it's called. It's a huge thing, semi-modular. And they also sort of, a lot of the things they use inside that get spun off into more complicated modules. So they take something.
They're DSP guys.
So they take something they've put in the Phoenix, and then they expand upon the parameters and stuff like that, and create these wacky designs, and all of this artwork is generated by algorithms and that kind of stuff. And
cool.
They're pretty wacky people.
They are.
But I don't know a lot about. They are DSP based.
Let's talk about the Bop and Steve anyway. It's a multi-effects processor module, and basically instead of giving you guys a whole bunch of different selectable algorithms, they're gonna give you a sort of curated concept with flexible textured reverb, but not as simple as that. So basically it's kind of more honing in on like a macro effect, and then you can then sort of create your own, that from there, if that makes sense. It's as opposed to them creating a whole bunch of algorithms that you select. So it's more, here's a macro effect. Now you can sort of configure it to how you want it, and you can see by that amount of control there that you are getting a pretty decent amount of granular control on the modules effects. Like for delay, you've got selectable types of delay, the length, the tail, all that sort of stuff, but then you've got some weird things like clarity and temperature and diffuse and tail, some interesting things anyway. So they do this thing called just deconstruction of a reverb, and so the audio path is in full stereo, and it starts with this thing called a pre-diffuser section. And you can see that kind of throughout the middle part there. You've got the diffuse knob on the left in the middle. And the early reflections of reverb is the pre-diffuser section. And then that can be used individually, and you can produce sort of subtle to unusable sounds. I don't know why you want unusable sounds, but anyway, you can. And then it can go into this extensive pre-delay and delay section where you've got the delay, and then you've got the tail and stuff like that. So with the types of delay, you get ping pong, which is a 1 volt per octave. Then you've also got a 1 volt per octave playable waveguide for a Carplus strong style texture, multi-tap delay, and you've got adjustable length feedback, as you can see I mentioned before. So then it's kind of going through this last part of the chain where you've got this selectable signal. I guess it's like a super flexible pitch shifter, they're calling it in a way. And the highlight of that is that you can set this freely in the signal chain. A simple button press makes it possible. And another highlight is that you can play that polyphonic over MIDI. So that's pretty cool. So in a way, I think that's kind of like the superpower of this module, is that you've got your effect and you're grabbing the tail of the signal chain, right? The reverby tail delay thing, and now you're going to be able to play that polyphonically over MIDI. So I really want to hear. Yeah. I want to hear this thing.
Yeah, it's
because that's
heading more into the granular sort of synthesis space.
Well, yeah, kind of like clouds, right? Kind of like clouds.
Yeah. But the chordal type stuff sounds quite interesting. Yeah, potentially.
There are things like obligatory shimmers and stuff also in there too. So, this is not rocket science. Please give us some stuff for us to.
We want to hear it.
Okay, we can hear it. You guys can go watch videos on it right now, but I can't play that to you because I will get another copyright claim or a strike or something. I already got one this week. Trying to be nice and show things. But yeah, do Google it. Links will always be in the blog article, as you guys know. Any comments from you guys about this? It's kind of mysterious. We don't really know much more, right? It is on Modular Grid, I believe. Yeah, it's on Modular Grid.
That's where I saw it first. So,
what are they saying on Modular Grid?
Just
well, they also
Robbie.
have.
Yeah.
They also have
Robbie says, "Dare I?"
So are you going?
Robbie said, I dare say he generally zoned out for the last 5 minutes. So let's
Stop it, Robbie.
Yeah. Keep the faith, Rob.
There is a video
say
on
doorbell
Sonic
GX7
State,
will
by
perk
the way.
up, so it's all right.
Yeah, he will, yeah.
So if you guys want to go check it out, there is a video on Sonic State. And I haven't asked Nick for permission. Usually if I ask Nick, he'll give me permission to show it, but I haven't, and I don't want to, step on anyone's toes. But yeah. Cool. All right, we move on to the next.
Cool.
Yep.
The next thing I came across was this, and I can't remember. Sometimes I get like old man memory syndrome problems. I can't remember if I've ever showed this before.
Don't remember this
I
one.
don't remember.
I don't remember it.
I'm
So
another old person. So
I think I'm okay here.
We
I'm
could
the
all
old
be failing
person.
though. So
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ask us.
We're all saying. All right, there is a 26-minute video here. I have not had a chance to watch it. It is a drone synthesizer. Let me just quickly tell you what it is first. It's a drone synthesizer. I think it features 4 oscillators. Yep, you can see pitch A, pitch B, pitch C, pitch D, with various settings on each oscillator, including waveform type, blah 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 blah. I'm pretty sure it's DSP based. Let's watch the video anyway and see how far we can get into it before we go crazy. As you'd expect, drone synthesizers are incredible.
that was Robbie's modular alarm clock going off. So
Yeah.
I think this is was this a Tindy thing? Where is it? Let me just get the link for this.
it's actually a perfect little for Noisevember there. That noisy bit there.
Decade Bridge is the name of the developer. Let me just find the thing again for you guys.
It made me think of
It's
the
an
Lyra
Etsy.
8.
It's an Etsy. That's what it was. It's an Etsy listing. Okay, so it's $290 US, 25% off at the moment, and it goes back up to $387 and some cents when that finishes. It's shipping between now and between December and February. It's a 4 oscillator drone synth capable of a wide range of sounds. Features include each oscillator having pitch control with CV/signal input, level control, VCA. Each oscillator has its own independent low frequency mode, so it can be used as an LFO with some different options there: ramp, up ramp, down ramp, triangle, half speed. What else? I noticed there was some effects in that video, so I couldn't work out whether the box itself had effects in it or not. It doesn't say anything in here, so I'm guessing he probably did that as part of post-production. So, you know, I didn't see like on the box there was any effects or anything like that. But it does come with a boost, I guess it's like a signal boost. So not sure why he needs that. Maybe it's line level, maybe, I'm not sure. Or eurorack level. But yeah, anyway, pretty cheap, $290 US for a 4 oscillator synth desktop module. It's not eurorack, Robbie, so stop whinging about eurorack. Anyone want to have a comment about the what do we call it? The albas. Anyway, I don't know how you guys pronounce it. That.
Albas. What I said.
Yeah. Anyone want to mention that, or should we move on to the next?
I think it's. I mean, like I said, I think it made me think of the Lyra 8. But considering the price difference between this and the Lyra 8, I mean, you know, if you want to, you know, something below $300 is really it's well priced. I think, you know. I mean, I wouldn't want it necessarily because I would want a Lyra 8 at some point in the future. But no, I think it's all right if you haven't got a drone synth and you want a drone synth. And I always find with drone synths you need something else as well.
Oh, of course.
Especially if you're going to play them live, you know.
Yeah.
On its own, you know, you probably end up putting loads of other bits and pieces into it, or with it, you know. But I quite like the price, you know.
My question to you guys is: do we need a drone synth, or do we just need a MIDI controller that can do drone triggering? Do you know what I mean? Because then you can have any synth.
Well, look at this one. This is a great little drone synth.
Yeah,
among other things, and it's less than $200.
Very cheap.
So
yeah, very cheap.
These things are awesome. Yeah.
How many voices is?
And it's got 4 voices.
Yeah.
4 voices.
Same.
And all kinds. There's great stuff on the back. There's all kinds of data about how to set it up and tweak it, and you know, as well as a matrix at the bottom. It's much deeper than it seems. There's a lot of stuff.
So many good stuff. So. Yeah.
This one, the delay or reverb or both is amazing.
I think it's cool. If I didn't have any synths and I was looking for something to kind of do some noise stuff, then I think I would love something like that. I would have loved it 15, 20 years ago. Because we were all searching for stuff like that. There was like the sleep drone. Does anybody remember the little sleep drone boxes? They were little analog 4/6 voice drone boxes. They weren't as deep as that. But yeah, it's cool. I think if you've got modular, you're probably just looking at it.
Was that was that Pittsburgh that did them? Pittsburgh modular?
Oh God,
I'm remembering what you're talking about, but I just can't think of who did it.
They're like little lime colored, and they did a 4/6 voice. I don't know why I got rid of mine because it was super cool. But yeah, so I think this is a cool noise kind of thing. You know, it's just probably not something if you already have good arsenal stuff. The price is good. Especially that sale price. You can't beat that.
I'm guessing it's digital, right?
Yeah, that's probably you're not going to get. Yeah, which is fine, I guess. You know. Maybe it sounded kind of nice. I didn't like it when they went in with all the LFO or whatever, all that. That kind of lost me. But I was really trying to listen for the tone. To see if you could get some cool harmonies or something going, some fifths and thirds. Sort of seemed like it at first, because that's really what droning is all about. You know, you want to get that mood, and then you get like a cheap boss pedal or something, right? A slicer or something cool, and you pump it into that. That's why I say I could see like a guitar player or someone just in college grabbing this and something else, and probably shred. So that's my thoughts.
I think the superpower of a drone synth, though, if it's self-generating, is more about how you can modulate it. So it's about slowly evolving. Maybe you've got some of those phasey type situations with oscillated harmonics and stuff, and it's slowly evolving that so that you can hearing all those little idiosyncrasies between each voice beating against each other. And if you haven't got a really good control over that, that's probably where it's going to fail. I'm looking at the control panel on this, right? And so you've got all the pitch controls and your waveform controls on the left, and over on the right seems to be your modulation stuff, right? With rate and depth. That's how I'm seeing it there, and how that's assignable, I guess. So, and what's inside that encoder too? What menu divey stuff do we get in there? You know. What are you showing there?
What's that, Chris?
Oh yeah, Chris, are you muted?
Does that look a little bit similar to this Elmira 2 synth that's being hammered on my social media every day by everyone?
Similar, but not the same. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
That's
similar
good.
but not the same.
That's considerably more expensive.
A few people in chat said that they were interested in it, so there you go. Let me whack the Etsy link on, even though I know some of you can't be bothered waiting for a couple of days for me to do a blog article. There you go. Go check it out on Etsy.
Hey, Ranzee, have you used triple sloths at all? That's great for droney stuff, long evolving LFOs and stuff.
I haven't, but I know what you're talking about.
It's really nice.
My go-to for drones at the moment has been the Noodler.
Yeah.
The Noodler's got a really great drone mode in it, and you can just use anything that's MIDI controlled for that.
You do a whole piece of the Noodler. You don't need anything else except for some sound sources. So
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, unless the drone synth itself has a really powerful modulation sort of control, it's always going to be, you know, it's either going to be where it falls over or whether it's a superpower for it. So just bear that in mind. I'm not sure how good this is. So he did say in the listing that you can use some of the oscillators in low frequency mode. So that means you've got, I guess, it's a give and take with, you know, dropping an oscillator just to use it as an LFO. I don't know if I like that. You know, put more oscillators in, put more LFOs in.
Yeah, put more LFOs.
But if you go to if you go to Big Circuit or Big City Music or Perfect Circuit, one of those stores, they have tons of little like homemade stuff like this by small boutique guys. This is actually a distortion box, but the drone stuff often looks like this, maybe twice as wide as this, and you never know what they sound like because it's hard to find demos on them. But drone stuff is huge at some of these crazy synth stores. A lot of local guys making them. So
you always make me jealous when you say stuff like that, like these crazy synth stores. Like, for us, it's a plane ride away for us.
If money was
27 hours.
I gotta drive to LA, so you know it's like
oh, you poor thing.
yeah.
If money was no object, and I was looking for a drone synth, I would be buying the Resonant Garden. Have you seen that?
Can't remember it.
It's classed as it. Yeah, it's by
spikes.
Folk Tech. Yeah, it's got these spikes on it as well.
I remember now. Yep.
Yeah, the little,
but they call it a sonic variation on droning sounds, percussion, and looping rhythms. And having watched a couple of videos in the past, I mean, they're like £1,000, so it's not a cheap buy by any stretch of imagination. But you know, when my ship comes in, I would be ordering one of them.
JX3D's just dropped a bomb. He has just got himself an SH4D.
Ooh, didn't see that coming.
And that's cool because I thought there was a bit of an embargo on him getting anything new for a bit after the big purchase a few weeks back.
It wasn't going to last forever, was it?
No, that's true.
Henry.
Now, speaking of drones, I think you could probably do some interesting stuff with a drone synth with one of these. I'm really not going to play that video because it annoys me, actually. It's purely just so that we can show the product. So you guys know that the Rolly C, this thing, the M, whatever it's called,
Seaboard block.
Seaboard block. That's it. This has been out before, and there was a whole bunch of issues with its, quality of build and issues with the company and it's the way it supports its product and stuff like that. And I know the company's been through issues with finances and stuff like that. They've been bought out and all that sort of stuff. They're bringing this back out again, okay? And they're saying that they've revamped a whole bunch of parts in the way they're making this, so it's supposed to be all refreshed and better and new, and $350, I think it is, US dollars. Yep, now, which is cheaper than I believe than what it was. I think, was it 500 before? I think it's quite considerably cheaper.
Yeah, it was about 500. We were a Rolly dealer for the original company. I've probably said it before on here. I do not like the way that the company was restructured, because their creditors lost money big time, apparently. In the way that it was restructured, and they're still there. And I have to be honest, I was never a huge fan of the Rolly Seaboard, and I liked Gaz Williams's version of what it felt like. It felt like dead flesh, which I completely agreed with. I owned one for a while.
It felt like playing a wetsuit.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, because when I bought the instrument, I still had the Rolly. It might have been this one, the M. I think maybe it was a slightly bigger one. It wasn't the Grand. It was the one.
The Rise 25.
No, it was a Rise 25. I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't do it for me at all from a playable point of view, or even in those days. I mean, it's probably better now, but connecting it to things and having to have other things to make it work with iPads and things, which I think they've probably sorted out by now, but it was the early days. So I'm not a fan of the company at all. I know they're cool again, and I know there's plenty of people like Kent who've got loads of Rolly stuff, but it wasn't for me.
I mean, the concept, I still am a very, very big believer in the concept. I think, like, from a point of view of playing an instrument, this can take you to a place which is completely different to playing your standard black and white keyboard, right? So
definitely.
That's what that side of it. Let's not talk about Rollies specifically here. Let's just talk about the concept of expression and the MPE back end to it. That side of it could turn us all into a new era of musicians. Really, that's what it could lead to.
They're saying that this is easier to play than the older Rollies. Now, I don't understand why that could be easier. What have they done that makes it different?
Wider and flatter keys.
Is that what it is? Right.
Yeah, wider.
A bigger area to play with, so you don't fall off and.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, they should have done that in the first place, then, really.
Whereas the opposite was Kent has the Grand, which has the little sharp keys, where it's really easy to fall off and get sour notes.
Yeah, I mean, when I had mine, it was easy to fall off. And it's a completely different style to being a standard piano player. I mean, that's why people like Rich Hilton.
That's what's so great about exploring new territories.
Yeah. And for me, it was either this or the Instrument, and I happened to go down the Instrument route. And if I was looking today, and between the Osmosis would be. I mean, I've played an Osmosis at Gearfest earlier this year, and I was well impressed by it, actually. And if I was in the market for buying my first MPE controller, I'd be playing. I would have dismissed the Rolly, but between the Osmosis and the Instrument would be my
and David showed the Touche before as well.
David, the Touche, yeah.
You're muted, mate. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I'm back on. This thing's fabulous, and they've got. I know it's not polyphonic, and I know we get all caught up with how much of everything we get. But But if you want to play something expressively and have some cool control over something, and they've got great integration software, and plus, yeah, I'm not supporting this company. This is a small community, and I'm sorry, I can't. There's no way I'm getting anything by them, and that's fine. Other people can. I think it's probably cool. I had the same feeling. I remember touching it years ago, that spongy thing, and I hated it. I hated it so much. Yeah. I also got this one. This one's not as really user friendly, but it's pretty cool.
I've used them. Yeah, all right.
Is that the Keith McMillan thing? Is that?
Yeah. It's super cool. I love this, and this is great for live. Yeah. This one's polyphonic. It's not. He's got a little work to do. It feels great though. There's something about his controllers. I really love them. I love the Q Nexus too, or what was the other one? Q Neo. So
those are nice. I guess the keyboard. The keyboard is really stiff. I didn't like that one at all.
That was his first one though, wasn't it? The keyboard was his first.
No, I mean it's a bigger one. It's Keyboard Pro or whatever the hell he called it. The big one that was at NAMM. It's it's not a tiny little thing.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, this one I will say you gotta press it a little bit, but it's got really nice size pads. There's good spacing. It's cool looking. It's really light and portable. So I don't know. I get why people would, especially, that price point is great. What, $350? And I'm sure they've got some software, and it's probably super cool.
You get some software.
I think it's probably a winner for some people for sure. It's the software that really makes it work. If they put it all together real nicely, then it's probably a really cool product, to be honest with you. I want to learn how to play the Touche first, and I'm still blown away by what it can do. So
David, is your Touche gone sticky? Which Touche do you have? I have the original.
What part goes sticky? Mine's got a hard plastic top. So
but is yours the Touche SE?
Yeah, it's pretty new.
Right. Well, I got the original standalone, the Touche, which has all the CV and the. I don't know. You can see it's got CV gates, USB, and MIDI out on the back, and that had like a rubber finish, and it's gone sticky.
Yeah, you know what? So, feeling this, I don't think this one has it anymore. This is less than a year old. This is hard plastic. So that's
the Touche SE. They've got rid of the rubber finish. That rubber finish around. Well, on the expensive sort of Premier look, they put the rubber finish on it. Well, that's gone sticky. So you've got the better version with it being plastic.
That list is getting massive.
Yeah.
Sticky rubber.
The best thing that Rolly ever came out with, though, to be fair, was their Equator synth. Their software synth. It's really really
that's what I guess I was thinking of, the Equator. I assume
they also have expansion too, which makes really good synths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see. I don't know. I'm kind of with Ian. I like the instrument probably better personally, but it's a different beast in a way.
It is.
But I would like to see something. I'm not saying Rolly. I'm just talking generically. I would like to see something, more affordable, that is not just MIDI. We can also use maybe CV, like maybe if Arturia made something down that sort of route, where we're not just having standard, velocity and aftertouch, that boring stuff that's been around for years, right? Something a bit more 5D, I think they're calling it in Rolly, but I don't know if 5D is the right word. But X, Y, Z sort of movements.
So the
there's 5 directions.
Five dimensions. Yeah, 5 dimensions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, expression is pretty important for us, I think, these days. Because, we get wrapped up with feature creep too, with synths, and we're saying things like, we get disappointed, that synth doesn't have aftertouch, and now we're saying, that synth doesn't have poly aftertouch. But it's let's be honest to ourselves, how often would we actually play that way? It's kind of
depends on the instrument. Some patches lend themselves to it.
It's kind of crazy though, but you would actually probably use it a lot less than what you're tricking yourself to believe though. In reality,
I don't know. I'm a Rolly fanboy. I use the Equator, and I love all those crazy patches and all the smudgy, squidgy stuff because it really is super expressive, like playing a violin, like Rich Hilton used to say. When he used to pushing for it, you're actually directly controlling the modulation of the sound, not just with the wiggle, but with a smear and with a function that you can't do on the Osmos called slide, where as you go up the key. You can fade into another sound. Osmos, you have to do it a different way, and I love the Osmos as well. But it's just nice to have just an alternative thing to try different stuff. And Equator synth also works with Osmos, so you don't have to buy the Rolly keyboard. You can buy an Equator, and it works great with Osmos.
I use Equator.
So, well, I think the instrument works.
The only reason I don't use Equator for EMOMs is because I have to take a laptop to do it. But I have got their app. On the iPad, which I occasionally use.
iPad app is a nice light version of it. Yeah, it's.
Do you think do you guys think there's a fear? Is it a fear? Like I see people sort of really dead. Not forget about Rolly as a company. Like that's a different argument, right? But I see people dead against the whole new expressive sort of 5D, 3D, whatever you want to call it, type playing. Is it a fear? Why are people against it? Like.
Well, this is the funny thing. People always say they want new stuff and new experiences. You give them something new and they go, oh, I don't like that. Well, you ask for something new. Here's something. Well, it's not new now. It's been out for a long time.
We'll come up with something yourself.
You give them a new crazy thing and they go, oh, screw that. I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
It's like instrument is basically partly guitar-based.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the pads. Yeah. I get the feel and it's cool. It's portable. I didn't like the stiff pads on it. So...
you get used to them actually, because when I first played the instrument, I thought, oh god, these pads are a bit stiff. But actually, I've been playing it for 4 years now, and I don't use it for chords very much, really. I think there's, the Osmos would probably be better for that, or even the Rolly if it comes to it. It's not great on chords because I can remember the shapes of the chords, but actually I just don't. It's not. It's great for, solo type stuff or melody type things where you're playing melodies. The pads you do get used to, Andy, actually. I mean, I don't have an issue with the pads at all. I saw somewhere on one of the instrument groups that there's you can get another membrane which might be slightly different. I don't know. I would only do that if my membrane started to fail.
I honestly think it would take people probably a good year or so to master a controller like the Rolly C.
Yes.
Well, the Kent and Rich talk about it. It took them a long time. Like Kent actually played it in the dark, so he couldn't cheat by looking at it, just to get the feel down.
Yeah.
Is
that what the fear is? Maybe that's the fear.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why people don't like it. No. Because they're not going to get.
Just to get a few weird notes. Hey, that's the way it goes.
No instant gratification.
If you buy the instrument, you're going to have to spend time with it.
But you're not going to
6 months to 8.
You're not going to be, Liberace twinkle fingers on these sort of instruments. That's a different type of keyboard.
And you're not going to on a violin either. You got to learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with Lady Aptitude that GeoShred and iPad for MPE is absolutely brilliant, and that's my go-to MPE app.
GeoShred's good. Yeah.
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 Well, it's kind of the contradiction is the more sensitivity they give us, the harder it is going to be to play it. So you got to pick your what do you want? The touche is not easy to play at all.
What was that thing? Was it the Eigenharp that they first came out with? That company down in Devon.
That was an early one.
Came up with this. Yeah, it's still going apparently. But that was.
I have the Pico. It's a Pico's fun.
I was Pico actually, but apparently it was just really difficult to learn to play. So I never pulled the trigger on that one. But they're still going apparently. That surprised me.
I don't mind the touche. I mean, I can't even play anyway, so the touche comes in quite handy when I want to just do a bit of sound designing because it's really fun to use. So since I don't play the keyboards or anything like that, it's all right for me. So like the keyboard and stuff, that would be or even the Osmos, that would be I mean, I don't play like some of you do. So, but yeah, I like the touche as the sort of if it hadn't gone so bloody sticky, which is annoying. That's why I didn't take it live, because it would stuck to everything.
Get some isopropyl alcohol on it, mate, and rub it off. You'll be fine. It won't look as nice, but it's worth doing.
And then sell it while it's clean.
And then sell it.
Because it will come back.
It won't have
I
COVID
did that with
then.
No.
Okay, we'll move
Actually,
away.
I'm just thinking if I can
We'll
take
move
the
away
cover
from
off,
that
I might
now.
get it dipped.
I think what we'll do is, we haven't done this for a couple of weeks, is we'll do a price watch, and I'm pretty sure I've got some price watch stuff sitting in here that we haven't touched. I kind of feel like synthesizer prices have kind of been a bit wonky lately. Have you guys noticed that there's been some interesting things, like some really good deals have been coming out? It depends on what we're talking about, of course, but there's been some really like retro vintage gear coming out pretty cheap. So keep an eye on this stuff. This stuff, by the way, this week I don't think is any sort of scammy territory. So starting with the EMU Systems Emulator 2. Did we do this one? I don't think we did this one.
No. Now it's KMFDM on it.
Don't recognise it. No.
Yeah. I don't think there's any listings anymore for these, because I got these screen captures a while back. Oh, yes. Okay, so I remember getting this. So we did talk about the Korg PS as a polyphonic synth at the time. We were talking about sort of retro polyphonic synths, and then I saw this come across my feed, and I thought, geez, that is a pretty decent price. Half that for pounds. So what are we looking at?
Yeah.
13,000 pounds. That's a lot of money. If I remember rightly, this is polyphonic based on only the keys that you're seeing there, though. So this is not like a. Is this a divide? I don't think this is a divide down, is it?
Is this the one that Cherry Audio just recently did a plugin of? It looks familiar.
I can't remember what Cherry Audio did, to be honest, mate.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
They don't love me enough here.
Oh.
They love Robbie, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Too much wood waxing, says Paul.
Yeah.
Wax on, wax off.
French polish.
What about this thing? The Echo Synth.
Oh.
I don't think I've seen one of these before.
Wow.
Have you seen one of these, Andy?
No.
Echo
I haven't even heard of the
Synth.
company.
Is that Echo the same company that used to do guitars? There's a guitar company called
They're
Echo.
Italian. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. That's probably that.
Apparently, it's a very rare synth, this one. So made in the late 70s. It's a 15 preset synth. Why? That's why you're getting it's a digital synth, right? One VCO, saw, square, possibly more different waveforms. I'm reading this from as Vintage Synth, by the way. Is that 44 keys? Looks like it, doesn't it? One 24 dB low pass filter with an AS envelope, and one VCA with the same envelope. Like I said, you've got presets, so you've got oboe, clarinet, bass, clarinet, horn, trumpet, trombone. Okay, how do I pronounce that? Vihuela? Vihuela? Vihuela. Haven't come across that name before. Going to sound like a numpty here. What the hell is that? It's a 15th century fretted plucked Spanish string instrument. It looks a little bit like a ukulele. Okay. So that's that. Panpipes, marimba, violin. Maybe you just get it for that weird sounding instrument, the vihuela.
It probably sounds like a ukulele.
Pronounce.
Knowing the age of this thing, it probably sounds nothing like
Oh,
it
it's
at
pronounced
all.
with a B. Behringer. That's how you say it. Behringer. According to Wikipedia, Behringer is a 15th century fretted plucked Spanish instrument shaped like a guitar. But it's tuned like a lute. Okay, so it is a bit more like a ukulele, right? There is a bowed version of the Behringer, which is called the Behringer de Arco, and obviously, if you know about bows, arco is the meaning of bow.
Arco is bow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. Bit of interesting history there that I had to check out because I had no idea what I was talking about. I'm learning on the show, people. $3,000 for a digital synth with one of those weird sounds in it. What are they saying in the chat about it? Weird. I think Andy's saying that he's got an Echo guitar, and it's got the same
I used to
text.
sell Echo guitars. Yeah, when they came back because the name was bought out by somebody else, and I remember them.
So they're Italian.
Growing up, the Echo. Yeah. The build quality on because this was obviously about 5-6 years ago, the build quality on the guitars was terrible. But I have a vague, I mean, I might have dreamt this, but I have a vague recollection of back in the day going and trying one of them in a music shop. I don't know whether that could be true or not. But my recollection is, if this is true, that it wasn't a very good synth. But
it's
like I say,
like late 70s digital, right? So it would be really interesting. Because I kind of, I mean, let's go back to it. We'll go back to this one in a sec. But I would be even scratching my head to wondering how they're getting those sounds in a digital. So it would have to be some sort of VA, right? Yeah. It would have to be some virtual analog thing, and then they're using that virtual analog to make those sort of organ type sounds. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But there is some YouTube demos of it, so do check it out. I don't want to get a copyright claim. Anyway, this one came across as well, which I thought was really interesting, and a really decent price on this, by the way, too. So if it's still for sale, someone grab it. Although it does say repair project. But I reckon this is an RS202 copy, a Roland RS202 copy, and the company that made it swear black and blue that they didn't copy it, but someone I think opened these up and gone pointing fingers, just waving the finger in the air. I'll show you like this. It's definitely an RS202 clone. Hey, where's my picture gone? I've lost my picture. Okay, that's annoying. There we go. 1970s multi-vox string and bass keyboard synth. So basically, if you've got an RS202, you know exactly what this is, right? In fact, if you actually go to Sound on Sound, they will actually wrote about this thing being a clone.
Cool.
Back in Sound on Sound, July 2002. There you go, a long time ago. But it is a string synth. Analog and that sort of stuff. I don't know, I think it'd be cool to get. I think that's it, by the way.
Fixer upper.
Seems cheap. It does depend what's wrong with it, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. So some interesting products there. For me, I think the emulator would have been the most coolest for various reasons. But that Italian thing, just out of curiosity, like I'd probably just want to play with it, not buy
the Korg, the 3100.
Yeah, expensive though.
I'd like to ever play it. Oh god, price is daft.
Yeah, I don't get why some of the vintage Korg stuff fetches so much, but they say they're rare, but they're not that rare. Like the PS.
This is for sale.
Rare. Yeah.
Original 700. Plug. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's for sale. It's been modified. No. It's got the.
You're good.
Yeah, it's now gone on eBay and Reverb. Anybody interested? I need the money.
Keith, what's the original price? 1978. What for the Multivox? Keith and Watford saying the Multivox. I'm pretty sure 1978 $5.99. Okay, that's a bit pricey. But yeah, I think the history of that Multivox MX202 was that someone should have got in trouble, and I think Roland just let it go. I think if I remember reading that Sound on Sound magazine article, that's kind of the gist of how it went. So that I think they had they thought they had like a really cool story here, but in the end it kind of fizzled. But yeah, someone opened it up and went, "Whoa, look at that! It's all Roland sort of designs in there. What's going on here?" Geez, that hasn't happened before, has it? Behringer.
Now it's part of the course. It's like, open it up. Yep, that looks familiar. Close it back.
Yeah.
But these days it's harder to do that because like an engineer will just go, right, here's an old like 70s circuit that was all through hole. Let's turn it into SMC.
That's the thing. It's unrecognizable.
It's unrecognizable
after modern techniques.
I mean,
everything look new again.
Wasn't there the ARP Moog thing?
They're all
SMC.
Yeah. They sound the same, ish. You know, slap me if you want, but I think they sound the same. You really aren't gonna get much difference out of it, to be fair. Okay, we've got through all the segments. I don't have a Name That Synth because no one sent one in. I can't be expected to make one every week for you guys. But I do have something I can show you just briefly before we finish up. During the week, I got sent in these used Expert Sleeper modules, and I thought, you know, these are interesting things. Now, these have been around for a long time, so I'm thinking like 2013, 2014, kind of somewhere around there they started coming out. So it's not new technology that we're looking at here, but it's kind of weird how long it's taken. Probably because it's modular synthesizer, I think, but it's kind of weird how it's taken some people to embrace this stuff. What does it do? Okay, so the ES3, the ES6 next door is basically a daughter module for the ES3. It won't run on its own. It needs the ES3 to run. You can run the ES6 on an ES8, which is a different module I'll talk about in a sec. It's an audio interface. This one is basically an output module, so you would pass the light pipe ADAT connection into your digital audio interface, and then your DAW will see these 8 channels here light up. In fact, we could probably even do that for you if we're lucky. Not with that one we can't. Right. So what we can do with this is, if you're wondering, you can send control voltages out of your DAW and into your modular. So all sorts of cool stuff. Now in Ableton, there it is, Ableton. We can run these plugins, for example, under the packs called CV Tools. And for example, we can whack an LFO. And now you've got an LFO going on, and if I just go like this, I'll help you guys see it a little bit better, right? I can now say, right, I want that output to go to external out, and I think it was like 17. There we go. And if I go back to this view, now you can see something. Now you can see something happening there, right? And you can also see that is also happening here too. So if I increase this rate on here to something a bit quicker, right? Let's go to like that. It's almost 6 times what it was. Yeah. Now you can see that flashing around quite crazily, right? And what I'll do is without showing you, I'll just bring it down slowly. And you can see it modulating the module here. I won't play you the boring there's a sawtooth down just doing beep 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 beep, you know. But the other cool thing is you can do different waveforms, so you can do triangles, and squares, and you can also do randoms. What's another name for random, people? In modular.
Delays.
Sample and hold?
Chaotic. Sample and hold.
Yeah,
Always
noise
put
source.
sample and hold equals random.
Yeah. So that's just a very, very basic thing that you can do with this module. Now, the other thing you can do with this module, let me turn that off, is you can also send audio through to this as well. So instead of me using that as a control voltage, I am now going to use that as an audio signal. And why would I want to do that, people? Why would I want to put audio from my DAW into my modular system? It's a pretty cool question, isn't it? Don't you think?
Process it.
Yeah. So you can grab a plugin, right?
Effects.
Let's grab a...
Treat it like an effect. Eurorack as an effect.
Let's grab a plugin like that. Okay. All right. It's really naff, that beat. Yes, I know. I do apologize. Not really. Let's go external out now. And 17. And now that's going out through my DAW into my modular. And within a few seconds, we will bring it back in via some effect. What sort of effect shall we use on this?
If the punk's nearby, you could destroy it with that.
You could.
Otherwise, you could do the obligatory phaser.
Why don't we take that off? All right, you can hear that actually is...
It's being delayed, yeah. It's cloud.
Yeah. All right, let's put it through something more interesting like...
Is that going through Rachel by any chance?
That's going through the Dystopia by Dreadbox.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit crusher.
That's a perfect noise member beat right there.
Now that's going through a Roland analog delay. I'll take the delays off so you can just hear that. There you go. So you can use it as an audio interface. Or...
Now that partners with the ES6 though, doesn't it? It needs the ES6 to exist first.
It doesn't need the EX6. You can run that on its own. It's just as an output module. The EX6 becomes an input module. I haven't got that plugged into anything. You can see the ADAT is not connected.
Okay.
You can use the ES6 with the ES3, and you can also use it with the ES8, as I mentioned before. And what I might do, when we're doing this a bit more seriously, not just mucking around, is I might bring the ES8 up here, and you can actually use all three of these modules together with some trickery. And when I mean trickery, it's just all part of Oz's suite of amazing engineering skills. But you can actually use all three of those modules together, and you can end up with some insane amount of inputs and outputs as a result into your system.
So they each have a light pipe input, so they can each work independently without the other, but there is that option to chain them together as such internally. So that's,
So the ES8 has either USB or ADAT in and out, so you can use it as a USB sound interface to your Eurorack, or you can use it as an ADAT in and out sound interface. So what you would do if you want to do the kind of cool trick is that you would bring the ES3 and the ES6 via the ADAT inputs on the ES8 and use the USB, and then you're getting like literally 8 plus 8, 16 outputs, and I forget the number of inputs. I think it's 8 plus 4, I think, if I'm right. I think it's 8 plus 4, just the way he's set it up. But there is another module you can get called an ES7, which gives another 2. And
so is it ES3 3 mono and ES6 6 mono, and then you get 3 stereo, or how does that work?
Yeah, so they're all mono. So so technically, when you're looking at this, Andy, these are the ES3 and the ES6 are basically supposed to be for more control voltage stuff, duties. But as I said, it is quite capable as an audio interface as well.
Sure.
The only thing I would say is that if you are going to use the ES3 as an audio interface, get the latest version. This is not the latest version. I think this is the Mark II, or is this the Mark III? I wrote it in Discord anyway. The latest version has got a better DAC on it, so it's slightly better for audio interface duties. Although that was pretty awesome. Like, it was 48K for me was fine. And there are some cool like plugins, VST and AU type plugins on your DAW that you probably think to yourself, hey, I would love to be able to chuck that into some funky little Eurorack module that mangles it and does cool stuff with it.
Well, I want to interface a Hartman Neuron with the modular. It'd be great. Yeah.
And I picked both of those up for $360 Australian used. So that's what is that, £180? That's pretty cheap when you consider the I/O that you're getting in and out of your DAW. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it's one of those things like this doesn't make noise. What does? It puts put noise through it. I kind of always feel like with these digital modules that it's done with it's amazing like how you can send an LFO control voltage over optical fiber. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's obviously it's all done with the processor at the back end. That's what it's translating digital messages back into voltage messages. It's done it all pretty damn quick. But I don't know, I find it really cool. It's a really kind of nerdy cool thing, but there you go. You guys wanted to hear it.
I was actually thinking all those people who like messing with brakes. You could play your brakes through your door into like a bowed frequency shifter and do some wacky modular fun brakes on that.
Yeah, I haven't got one of those yet. Wouldn't mind getting one of those. They're pretty cheap.
It's the first thing I thought of. Thing I thought of when you're feeding stuff into it. I thought, the bowed frequency shifters.
I have the audio damage one. It's really good.
I mean, I just get the Behringer one because it's cheap, but get the audio damage one if you want.
Well, I just got it because there was nothing available at the time I bought it. It was the only frequency shifter you could buy because Deptford stopped making them.
Yeah,
and Behringer didn't rip it off yet.
Yet. So, was there any questions just quickly about that? Because I know sometimes I show things really, really quickly, and people are like, "What?" But yeah. There was an interesting video that came out from Starsky when he showed that he just recently bought the Audio Fuse, the new Arturia one that's come out, and he was talking about DC coupled interfaces where you can plumb stuff through your DAW into your hardware synths and use that as control voltage. Well, this is exactly the same thing. So all of these connections on the ES series, these are all DC coupled connections. Okay, so that's why you can use them as audio or control voltage. I kind of liked the version of the ES3. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he does update his modules and he changes the way they look. So I'll see if I can show you. But
so that newer one, the Alpha, I forgot the exact number, but the Alpha one that has the screen on it.
I like how there's little lights on this, right? that show you the. And with the new one, he's got this type of thing where it's got the LED built into the module, so you don't get the lights flashing. I mean, I like both, but I just thought I'd show you what the new one looks like. So,
is it bicolor?
That's the new one
Red
there.
for negative, yeah.
Are those power heavy, or what's the word I'm looking for? Do they take a lot of power? Those expert sleepers?
No, not really. So before I put all this into my little nifty case, I went onto Modular Grid just to make sure everything was all hunky-dory, with setting up that side of it. And it was fine. But to give you an idea of power, it does tell you one here somewhere. Before I tell you that, though, David, I just wanted to quickly mention it is 96K compatible as well. There is a little quirk to it, though. So you double up your outputs and you get, so for example, you'd have, instead of 8, you'd have 4. But you can get 96K if you want on this, which I think is a pretty cool thing. If 96K was important to you, by the way. So ES3 Mark IV is the new one. And the one I've got is the Mark III. But having said that, the Mark III does have the higher speed DACs. So I might be thinking of the ES6 when I was talking about the DACs. But anyway, power-wise, this is for David, it is 148 milliamps current draw on the plus 12 volt rail, which is really minimal. Because don't forget, it's all that low powered, SMC
3.3 volt, high efficiency SMD. So
now the ES6 might be what I was talking about with
the
new...
LEDs probably take probably the most inefficient part on that one. It's probably why he changed them.
Yeah, so it was.
Can you only do what you're doing with the ES, or can the EXs also do this as well? I forgot.
The EXs,
the distings.
Oh. The Mark.
No. So the distings don't have the connectivity, right?
They don't. Okay, so you need ES for this stuff, not the EX.
Yeah. So the difference between a disting is more like a generating module, whereas this is a connectivity module. So you're either going to be.
It doesn't make an all-in-one though, right? There's not a module that does either one, right? You have to buy something.
I don't think so, no. So before I forget, I was just going to show you the ES6. And so I've got the Mark II, but the Mark III has this enhanced audio performance. And I've asked him, I don't think he's replied to me yet, but I've asked him what does that mean? He might just give me some engineering answer. But yeah, even with that, 182 milliamps, that's on the latest version too, so I don't know what the difference is, but hey, the version I've got's got the light up things on it, so it's cool. By the way, you can use the ES6 with the ES8 by itself. There's a little pin header on the back, and the only reason why you're using it with the other module is because it's using ADAT. It needs to get a clock from somewhere, because you know how ADAT works, right? It needs to have a word clock, otherwise it won't sync with the sample rate.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why it uses the pin connectivity. So you'll actually have, if you looked underneath this thing, if I turn it off, I'll show you guys a couple of seconds and we get in there. They're pretty low sort of voltage, and as I said, David, but you can fit them in a nifty case. So nifty cases aren't that deep, they're quite shallow. So when you're thinking about it from that point of view, I had a bit of drama during the week trying to work out which way around the pins go. So one of these, does suffer for a non keyed, what do you call it, thingo, cable. Take the ADAT out. IDC, yeah. So you can see, get off there, that the two modules are actually connected by that cable there. And that just provides the The other two the two wider things are your standard Eurorack power, but that cable there and is the connector, and you can see on the ES3 there's another connector there. So quite interesting stuff.
Well, it's cool that they fit. They actually look kind of deep.
They are, and but if you just shove your ribbon cable thing to the back, because you've got that little space underneath there, they'll squeeze in.
I have two of the Snifties. I love them. But...
Yeah. I won't worry about fixing it. I will do that later. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you guys because I don't know, like you don't. I mean, the thing I showed you, the LFO thing was really, really naffy. It's like you can put, and you could actually put audio through as a control voltage. So you could actually have someone talking, like as a recorded sample, and you could put that through as a control voltage and send that somewhere on your Eurorack modular system. So like this stuff's fun to work with anyway. So yeah.
Did you see Robbie's comment about pro bono?
Mini Dext
stuff
versus TX816.
They reached out to him, or he reached out to him.
Okay, cool. Nice.
That'll be interesting.
Yep.
Awesome. Or if you need anything from me, let me know. Not sure what I can do, but yeah. Like Chris and I are kind of still chatting about the Eurorack version of it. Someone else has already made one, but I don't personally like. Wasn't really Eurorack either. It was more that that format called? Something else. It was a 20 centimeter format.
Cosmo or something.
Cosmo, that's it. Yeah.
Cosmo.
The Sand Battle format.
Yeah, Sand Battle sort of size.
Yeah.
Proper 3U.
So what we're talking about is making a single DX7 synth as opposed to the 8, the TX style, into Eurorack, into a module, and you'll be able to just connect it up to a MIDI keyboard if you want to and play it that way. But I want to develop it a little bit more, sort of, so that it kind of fits in with more of the Eurorack ecosystem. And I want to have it so that you can send it a control voltage volt per octave input, and it will play a chord, and you don't have to, get it to. You could set the chord up in a menu option or something like that. So it's pretty simple for me to do that just through an Arduino. But there's a few other things that we're looking at doing just to sort of make it kind of cool. But yeah, that's kind of where we're going with it. I don't know when we can build a prototype, but I guess it's probably not that far away. I'm waiting on those DAC modules to come in, and I got an email from them saying that they're on their way.
I got my off-the-shelf expensive one.
Yeah, does that actually? So have you checked to see if that actually works? Or
I don't have a Pi yet to test it on. They don't come till middle of the week, middle to the end of the week.
Fair enough.
It'll work if you plug it straight into a header. That's what it's designed for, with like a demo project. But as you said, the pins will be completely different assignment to the DexEd project. So I will need to.
So it'll be using up pins that
do
are already
wires.
Been used. Yeah. But you can do that.
They'll just have to go somewhere else.
You can get that thing, the multiplexer thing, the pin expander thing, which is just from that shop that you got yours from. You can actually buy one.
Oh, I think it'll still have the same pins as the little DAC ones that you've ordered. It's just that they're in a very specific place on that shield, which is not compatible with DexEd, because DexEd wasn't designed for that shield.
Yep.
In mind, the DAC was added later, so they've already used those pins for other parts of the project. So I think that's all it's going to be. But the pin out should be exactly the same. I just need to find out what pin goes where on the DexEd versus.
And the other negative
so there'll be sort of
it's a little bulky.
Oh yeah, it's not the final solution. It's just something I can
something you can get quickly. Yeah.
basically.
Just curious, how does the inventor pronounce it? Is it Dexed or Dext? I keep hearing different versions.
Dexed was kind of what I got told to say.
This is an editor, right?
Yeah, because it was originally an editor.
Yeah, DX editor, yeah.
But I would just call it Dext because I think that sounds cool.
Curious.
You've been
I
Dexed.
just wonder what the guy who invented it calls it. So.
Probably Dexed.
Like Linus Torvalds calls it Linux, but most people don't say Linux; they say Linux.
Or Linux. Or Linux.
Yeah.
Or Linux.
Yeah.
Linux.
I thought he was called Linus. Was his name Linus?
Somebody's called Linus.
I thought he was
Linus, whatever. Yeah.
Linus Torvalds.
That rings a bell. Linus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, geez, we're going back when I used to muck around with Red Hat in the 90s. That's
yeah.
what
I literally Red Hat.
I used to email the guy. I seriously used to email the guy.
Yeah.
And it was like grumpy-ish everything you can just imagine.
So I kind of get the GUI to launch. I'm stuck in command line. Right?
Yeah.
So
couldn't get X Windows to fire up.
It would have been something to do with X Windows. That's what it would have been to do with, like trying to get
that's
it
a
to
world
work
I don't
on a
want to go
specific
back to.
display. Yeah.
BOS was great though. I love BOS.
Wow, that's a blast from the past.
Great audio video tools on it. It's a shame they didn't last because
was that a French guy? That was a French guy, wasn't it?
Jean-Louis Gasset is from Apple. He left Apple and started his own thing.
Yeah.
He was almost a contender, but then Steve Jobs did a runaround with Next, knowing he had a second life there. It was a very clever move on Steve Jobs' part. And so they used the OpenStep kernel, whatever, to get OS X going. So, but it was almost BOS. He was a contender for a while.
No, it was what's it? FreeBSD, and not the FreeBSD, the other BSD version. What was it called?
There's that too. But BOS was an earlier contender that people were talking about it. Like, it ran really efficiently.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those operating systems that kind of never happened. It was a bit like what was that one that was kind of only in the corporate world that never really saw the light of day in the mainstream. What was it called? NetWare. The NetWare. The Novell.
NetWare's huge. When I started my laser company a long time ago, NetWare was massive.
Yeah.
So in fact, it had great security. It was really good at the time for what it did.
We used to roll it out with all of our corporate clients.
Novell NetWare.
Because there was nothing better than it, for controlling users and users from doing stupid things. There was this thing called ZenWorks that they made, which was incredibly useful, where you could roll out a desktop, and if the user did something stupid, like you could literally just the next login, it would just reformat it and bring it back.
Did you ever use Altiris?
Yeah,
that was a crazy one.
Yeah. That kind of started, I think, almost the virtual. That was kind of the precursor to virtual technology, if you think about it, because they were basically because they were looking at sort of, okay, this stuff that each of these computers have got is exactly the same stuff. So why can't we just put that into a virtual environment and see if we can tap into it that way? And I mean, the thin client side of it was also part of it as well, right? So anyway, we're completely going off on a tangent and talking about IT.
Yeah.
It is geekery, guys. So just different kind of geekery.
Yeah,
it's kind of
blast from the past. I'd say that.
It's always a risk. Always a risk.
Well, like last week we talked about Raspberry Pis, didn't we? So I guess we're allowed to. We're allowed to.
Oh, I'm singing now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to wrap it up, people, because I think we can. I think we've done everything.
Cool.
Go buy Ian's album, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for those that have bought it while the show's been going.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yep. Why don't I say, I haven't actually updated this thing, by the way, so it could be completely out of date and some people might not even be allowed to be on here, but why don't I say a big thank you to these people. There you go. And wasn't that an interesting version of a track that ended up on the Gates album? Ooh, haven't I got you guys thinking now?
I picked it. I picked it as soon as I heard your album, man. So I know those sounds.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So yeah, big thanks to those guys. You guys know who you are. Awesome to have you, and you guys that turn up every week. So it's awesome. Thanks to all the video callers, especially on StreamYard as well. Nice of Steve and David to jump on. I know it's early in the day over there, mate. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure you guys press record and do some synthy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big thanks to Darren for being so vocal today. Awesome job there, mate.
You're welcome.
Contribution was
Kind of
huge.
Well, he only takes up a little part of the screen. He says about proportionally as much.
I'm not sure if this layout works. Like, I
didn't
think
want to interrupt you all.
I think I'm too big. I don't know if I like this layout. Like, I feel like I'm this massive monster, and everyone else.
Do you feel exposed, Rans?
I do. Let me hide.
Self-conscious.
What did the chatties think? I think it's all right. I think it's fine. I think it seems to work.
All right.
Phil, natural.
Well, at least
Although
the
somebody said
StreamYard people have been cut off.
Yeah, the chat window hasn't updated.
Oh, it's that stupid Chrome
Is
browser issue.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I do something about it? Can I click refresh, reload page? Will that do it? There you go. Hey.
Hey. Refresh saves the day.
Refresh.
The only thing is it posts that little welcome to live chat banner.
Yeah, every time. Yeah.
Really annoying. Like, yeah, another grumble for YouTube. It's 2 in 1 show. That's awesome.
It is, yeah.
All right, everyone. We're going to say goodbye.
Rans, thanks for the opportunities of talking about my album. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Anytime, mate. Anytime. It was our pleasure. Our pleasure. All right. Bye-bye, all. Be nice to your mum. Press
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.